Fantasy. Okay, time now for Rookie Watch. Week 1 of preseason kicking off tonight. Look at you, Field. You got your binoculars out, ready to go.
Once
Safari.
you get an animation, that means you're big time.
You are
Look, I finally made it.
Here's our first look at the rookie class. And Field, who should we have our eyes on? You guys have been injured, but some of these guys that are healthy, who should we be looking out for?
Yeah, let's start with Caleb Downs down in Dallas. He goes to the Cowboys at number 11 overall. Laura kind of slides relative to where I had him ranked on the overall big board. It's because of the position that he plays safety, but unsurprisingly, he has made a huge mark on the Cowboys right away. It sounds like he is a leader on the defense, a communicator, and of course his hard-hitting style is going to show up. It's pretty rare for a safety to set the tone for a defense, but Caleb Downs has that within him. He did it at both Alabama and Ohio State. Arvell Reese, another Ohio State guy. Man, it feels like these Ohio State guys are all over the place. At the Giants, number 5 overall. The question is exactly how the Giants are going to utilize Arvell Reese, a stand-up inside linebacker who also has serious upside as a pass rusher. If I'm the Giants, my thought process in drafting him was, we'll figure it out. There are guys that look the part, and then there are guys like Arvell Reese, who is unmistakable with his physique. His physicality is going to show up for a team that feels like it can be a whole lot better in a hurry. Another Ohio State Buckeye. It's a theme here. Carnell Tate, who I think actually became underappreciated during the pre-draft process. Doing some homework on the Ohio State guys that are going to be in the 2027 NFL draft, you go back and you realize Carnell Tate, professional, great route runner, great hands, vertical threat. Cam Ward has to be very happy to have Carnell Tate as his new wide receiver 1. The offensive line gives me question marks in Tennessee, but otherwise I do have confidence that this offense is set for a huge step forward. The second wide receiver taken in the draft, Jordan Tyson. He's banged up right now, which is obviously not ideal, but it sounds like he has been the star of Saints training camp. Question mark on him, not talent. Incredibly explosive. Given the football, good things can happen. It's just about staying available on the field. He missed 5 games last season. But it does feel like this is the kind of player that opposite Chris Olave could take this offense to a new level. And they played some great ball down the stretch last season. Denzel Boston, more wide receiver play here. He, of course, went 39th overall to the Browns. The second wide receiver they took, Laura, after Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M. Denzel Boston has been excellent so far in training camp for the Browns. He's big, but he also has the ability to play inside as sort of a big slot. He's got the route running ability, the understanding of coverages, and has very reliable hands as well. The Browns have a lot of questions on offense, specifically who's going to be their week 1 starting quarterback, but it does sound like they have already found themselves a keeper in Denzel Boston.
Yeah, there's a priority there for sure in the draft. And reminder, a bunch of games here. Preseason games, I get it, but they're over the next couple nights. It's going to be fun to see these rookies show out. Now, you mentioned Jordan Tyson, this new on NFL Live. Concerning news coming out of New Orleans. Their Saints rookie, Jordan Tyson, leaving practice today with a leg lower body injury. As far as the severity of the injury, head coach Kellen Moore says they're going to get more information, probably have a better idea tomorrow. So keeping an eye on that for sure, and you just hope he's okay. Field mentioned some of that injury history for him. Let's stay in New Orleans, where the Saints hosted the Jags for a joint practice. A lot of back and forth between Travis Hunter and Chris Olave. I'm sitting in Field's seat. Sorry, Field.
That's okay.
All right, let's continue. No, it's not. That's yours. Tyler Shuck hoping to make a leap year 2, right? And Trevor Lawrence ready to build off of last season's success. So let's dial in on the Jags a little bit. You talk about flipping the script for Trevor Lawrence. Look how he and the Jags turned their season around last year. Winners of their final 8 games. Lawrence threw nearly twice as many pass touchdowns, including 9 go-ahead, which led the NFL over the last 8 weeks. It was the Jags' longest win streak since 1999. Mina, what do you think was the recipe behind Lawrence's success last season?
Jacoby Myers.
Yeah, there were a few things that went into it. I mean, the second half of the season, this was a top 5 passing attack in football, and I think it can continue. A few things that happened. The trade for Jacoby Myers opened up the middle of the field. Before the trade, the Jags were 27th in EPA per play, throwing between the numbers. Afterwards, they were 3rd. It also allowed the other receivers to slot into more natural roles. The Jags cut down on pre-snap penalties, which was a huge issue for them, as well as drops. And then finally, Trevor just started pushing the ball downfield. He was extremely aggressive, attacking, throwing even to tight windows in a way that he wasn't at the beginning of the season. All of that can stay. What needs to get better is, while the passing game took off, the run game fell off a cliff at the same time. And I think you saw that in the postseason when everyone was begging them to run the ball in Buffalo and they wouldn't at the rate that they really, frankly, should have been able to. So that's what I'm watching the Jags early in this season. Is that run game improved from what we saw last year? Because if the run game catches up to the pass game, this is a top offense in football.
Trevor Lawrence has never really put together two big-time seasons back-to-back in the NFL. I think a couple things. One, this receiving group is, I think, outside of Cincinnati and New England, probably about as talented as anybody in the AFC. Brian Thomas Jr. was great his rookie year. He was okay. The disconnect showed last year, but okay. Obviously, Jacoby Myers was great. I think Parker Washington has the chance to become one of the, if not the best number 3s in the NFL. Potentially a number 2. I think he's that talented of a player. I know Mina's high on him as well. The interesting thing apart for me in the pass game, MK, with this offense is I do think Liam Cohen took some by surprise last year. There's a little bit of like shock when you get into the game.
Now have they adjusted?
What's going to be his adjustment, his self-scouting? What are his counter punches to continue to take this offense to the next level and to keep Trevor's confidence high? I thought that was a big deal last year. Trevor just decided I can throw better than or as good as anybody in football, and I'll trust the play call. Will that carry over?
Yeah, Mina, Parker Washington, who Dan's mentioning, we know that you're high on. What do you think about what he's saying there about maybe being one of the top number 3s in all of football?
Well, I think Dan makes a really excellent point about like Liam Cohen, what's next, right, for this offense. And I think, Dan, I know we're broken records on this, we're going to see way more multiple tight end sets. I think it was very deliberate by them to draft a blocking tight end, Nate Berkshire, I think I'm saying his name right, earlier than people expected. Brenton Strange, for those who've forgotten, was hurt in the middle of the season and, you know, in the beginning of the year looked incredible and was also, he's a complete tight end. So between them, you have two guys who you can put in line. They're going to get a lot of base defense, and I think that will be sort of the twist maybe on the offense this year that'll allow them to continue evolving. Even though, as you said, they have a great 1-2-3 at receiver, they'll have the personnel flexibility to attack defenses in different ways.
Yeah, that's the wrinkle of the offense, and I will continue to hit this, the drops. I mean, Trevor Lawrence and the offense were good last year. I think they led the NFL in drops, them and the Packers being 1-2. And then if this offense becomes a little bit more complex, Mina and I are going to get into this as the season goes on. Offensive penalties in the NFL, we overlook this sometimes. They will be huge this season. They weren't 5 or 6 years ago because teams could just chuck it all over the field and you can make up for that. You aren't good enough up front versus these defensive lines nowadays. So if they can continue to cut back on the penalties, continue to cut back on the drops, this is going to be a very, very good offense.
That's an interesting trend to follow, just like how clean can the operation be to gain advantage.
5 years ago, it wasn't that important, which is shocking to say because it was such an RPO game. It was such a space game. That's gone away. And because of the efficiency of offenses, you're chasing efficiency and explosiveness. If you get an early down penalty, you're done with these defensive lines.
I love the trends and how cyclical it can be in the NFL. Okay, more on that throughout the season as they're telling you. We've got more coming your way today on NFL Live. Still to come, Joe Burrow and the Bengals, they're starters. They're playing tonight. What will it take for Cincinnati to get back to peak offensive performance? Dan says it could come down to just one change in their operation. He's going to